just wanna be like a ship without an anchor, limitless and free, without searches and papers. I try to make a plea for my innocent behavior. You rake me through the coals so you can look like a savior. Blood on me, you got blood on me. You got blood on me, you got blood on me. You broke me, you snuck me, you smeared my life away. Under the bus you stole from us and pumped the other way. If I'm a word, suffer the hurt. Always not down, you're musing the sound. Heaven's what you seek to make your life, make it passive in the end. I just wanna flee this rigged game casino. Maybe get away and live incognito. I try to make a plea to keep the fruits of my labor. You rake me through the coals so you can look like a savior. There's blood on me, you got blood on me. You got blood on me, blood on me, blood on me. Now my sting, your skin gon' be again. You gaslight me, bury me, you'll never win again. A selfish joke, a Judas joke, betrayer in a sinking boat. That's what you seek to make your life stick to passive in the end. Blood on me, now my sting, skin gon' be again. You gaslight me to bury me, you'll never win again. A selfish joke, the Judas goat, betrayer in a sinking boat. Heaven's what you seek to make your life stick to passive in the end. Hail, hail, witch is dead. They killed her on the mountain for the lie she spread. Spreading out of fear to the woods and the sheep. She hoodwinked all the masses, but she'll never get me. No honor, valor, validity. Did you say your soul to the other? Honor, valor, validity. Did you dig a hole for the other? Blood on me, now my stain, your skin gon' be again. You gaslight me to bury me, you'll never win again. A selfish joke, a Judas goat, betrayer in a sinking boat. That's what you seek to make your life stick to passive in the end.
All right. So that was Blood on Me by this fine gentleman with me here, Steve Campanella. Welcome to GrungeCast episode 5. Hey, Steve.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's our pleasure, actually. Let me give a little introduction about the band. That was the Normalcy Bias, fronted by Mr. Campanella here. And GrungeCast episode 5 is really special for us at Calcutta Grunge Exchange. Why? Because the band hails from Seattle, the mecca of grunge music. So it's a really, really, really special episode for us. And Steve, thank you so much for taking time. And I know there's a 12-hour difference. Thank you so much for waking up so early, man. So
It's
yeah,
okay. I had my coffee. I'm wide awake.
welcome to the pages of Calcutta Grunge Exchange.
Thank you.
Good to know, man. So the platform's all yours, man. So yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure being here. Yeah, I'll let you guys kind of lead it with questions if you have, and we can get going here, or
Sounds
whatever
good, sounds
form.
good. It's gonna be like a very interactive
Okay.
casual thing. We don't want to have like a typical interview thing. We never do that. We actually dread interviews ourselves. So yeah,
Oh, okay.
Steve. So tell us a bit about the Normalcy Bias. Obviously, let's start off with the band, and yeah, then we'll slowly get into it. So yeah.
Sure, absolutely. Well, the Normalcy Bias kind of started as an experiment. I would play every Wednesday night at Daryl's Tavern in Shoreline, Washington, which is a kind of a dive bar, but a really cool bar, and very supportive of original music. So it started as kind of like a sandbox every Wednesday, excuse me, going there to play, and met a lot of great people, and started forming and kind of getting the confidence, working my craft. That's
Awesome.
kind of how it started. And then I actually met Jack Endino there, who's a very prominent Grammy-known engineer.
Wow.
That who's kind of he discovered Nirvana,
Oh wow.
recorded their first album Bleach, as well as the early Soundgarden album. So I was fortunate enough to meet him and be able to record with him, which is
That's
kind of an honor. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a very nice piece of grunge trivia you just informed us with. So that's awesome, man.
Yeah, he
So-
does a lot of work. He flies all over the world and records a lot of bands in Latin America and Europe and maybe even India. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe someday, or maybe already it's happening already. We never know. So yeah.
Right.
Okay, so we were going through the lyrics of the song "Blood on Me." Very interesting lyrical content, I must say. I mean, it's got a lot of like a middle class value, like a protest song, if I may say, and an alternative feel to it. So tell us a bit about the song "Blood on Me." What's it about?
Yeah. I think I don't have to be so direct, but it's obvious this day and age there's so much deception going on all over the world. So the song, it was kind of like I don't know if you want to say a prayer, but kind of like a statement to all. There's a lot of betrayal going on. So that was kind of the influence and the motivator for me writing that. And I tried to be specific without being too specific. Writing songs can be tricky, but
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah. So it was kind of like, I don't write songs. It kind of comes to me like when I get an idea, it's almost like a dream, and this repetitive thing in my head over and over. And then I build on it. And I always try to, when I write a song, I try to capture kind of the essence of it in the beginning on my cell phone, because there's there's a discovery process when that happens, when there's like a feeling that you try to capture right when you get the idea. But that's basically the song. I don't want to sound too pretentious.
No, I totally get it. Yeah, no, it's all good. So basically, the songwriting process that you said, it also happens with me and a lot of other people. In fact, with Abhishek and Sam as well. So basically,
Right.
the song comes out of an idea, maybe even from a word,
Right.
right? And it
Right.
usually happens when you're sleeping. And you know what happens with me? When I wake up, I pretty much forget everything. 95% of the thought is gone. So
Right.
that happens with me. So yeah, that's a kick-ass song, by the way, and it's called
Thank you.
like.
Thank you.
So it was, ladies and gentlemen, who's watching this, it was our honor that we came across Steve and his band, and we reviewed it. And Steve was very happy, and we were very happy to review the song. So yeah, so that's about Blood on Me. It's about deception and the kind of deceit that people actually make you go through, in a way, right?
It's about betrayal. Yeah, a lot of being thrown under the bus, so to speak.
Yeah,
Which I'm
yeah.
sure I think a lot of people can relate with that today.
We all been there, man. We all been there. So maybe that's how we could actually connect even on a better way. Like we all been there, we've all been under the bus. So yeah.
Right.
So yeah. Okay. So tell us a bit about your involvement. How did grunge happen to you, or alternative rock or grunge, whatever you want to call it? How did it happen to you?
Sure. Well, in order to tell you that, I got to backtrack a little. I'm originally from Southern California. I grew up in Fullerton, California in the 80s. I went to high school with Mike Ness from Social Distortion.
Oh, wow.
And
yeah,
the punk band. And it's actually Troy Ness, his brother. We both used to be ushers at a movie theater years ago. But I don't know if you know the Adolescents. Steve Soda of the Adolescents went to my high school. We used to have lunchtime concerts. But I started there. I had bands years ago in the 80s. And then I moved to Hawaii. I was living in Maui for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And I worked at George Benson's recording studio as an assistant engineer. And I met other musicians. I formed my first band. Long story short, on my YouTube channel, there's a song called Freezing. It's an old demo. I recorded that on an old 4-track, and I got played on the radio in Hawaii. I won actually a contest. It was called Radio Free Hawaii. And I had a friend by the name of Michael Hutchinson, who was an engineer who worked with Gina Shock of the Go-Go's. And he was come to Los Angeles, I'll record you, doing a spec deal. And at the time I had a bass player who had some serious substance issues. So the band fell apart, and I was like, I'm moving to Seattle, so I planted my flag here in 95.
95.
And yeah, and I tried looking for musicians to play with, and I kind of hung it up. I had a really difficult time, so I went back to school and I studied computer engineering. I got fried on that. I mean, it's what I still do for a living, but you can't. I've always been a creative person. My mother is a singer. My father's a computer engineer, so that's kind of the whole dichotomy, the half and half, so to speak. But I started doing the open mics probably about 6 years ago, relentlessly. I had to keep doing my music, and I would play drums. I'm really a drummer. That's my first instrument.
Oh, okay.
And I'm really comfortable sitting in with anyone at the drop of a hat on drums, like playing jazz or rock. So I started doing that at a place called Tim's Tavern in Seattle. Then I started going to Daryl's Tavern. Then I started rehearsing and got the Normalcy Bias together. And then we did shit.
When was the Normalcy Bias? Sorry to cut you short, but when was the band formed?
Around, technically 2018. So
in just 2 years, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then we recorded, probably well over a year ago.
Oh, okay.
But
so fairly new. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was that. But yeah, it's been rough because everything is shut down. I don't know. Can you guys play in India anywhere right now?
No, man. Same story. Same story.
Yeah.
So it's like
and people are doing these right now. What's happening here in the scene, and my hat goes off to these people, but they're doing, these live concerts at some of the venues, but there's no audience.
Okay.
And so I don't know. I commend anyone that has the balls to do a webcast and play with their guitar. It's really difficult for me because I need an audience. Like I get really self-conscious on camera. And when I'm performing in front of an audience, all that fear goes away because I kind of get into character, so to speak. I commit to what I'm doing, the playing, and I forget about people in front of me, and it's very liberating,
I totally relate, man. It's like feeding energy off each other. Like
yeah, exactly. And I think kind of the travesty of the internet. The cool thing about the internet is we have this ability to communicate, but there's an abundance of information now.
True.
And I think probably the most challenging thing as an artist is to keep yourself differentiated from everyone, is to be unique. And
Yeah.
I want it to be, I want to create a unique video or a presence that stands out, I guess. So I don't know if you'll see me like with my acoustic guitar. Maybe maybe I'll start doing that soon. But I really like playing in front of an audience with real people.
I totally relate to it. I understand where you're coming from, man. I mean, like, it's like the live show, like literally live show in front of a live audience.
Yeah.
Where you can-
Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's something to be said for the adrenaline rush. I mean, this is a rush right now because I feel so uneasy in front of a camera, but
You're doing great, man. You're doing great.
oh, thank you. But yeah, my influences, you know, I wanted the Normalcy Bias to have, I wanted to pay ethos to like the Who, the Clash, the Pretenders, some of my biggest influences, and kind of that DIY spirit of, you know, the punk rock movement, which I guess, which is grunge. I mean, I never identified with grunge, but I'll happily wear that hat if you want to give it to me.
So basically, everything is correlated in a way. Everything is correlated. So
absolutely, absolutely.
So, and punk rock is the mother of grunge in a way. So,
really, Bangkok is?
No, I said punk rock. Punk rock is in a way the mother of grunge music anyway.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
All good. So yeah, man, that's wonderful. So so you've been like a computer engineer, which you still are. You're a musician, and I got to know that you acted in movies and you're into theaters. How do you do all this?
Yeah, I'm kind of I kind of got my hands in a lot of things. I've been, you know, I sustained my lifestyle as a Windows systems engineer doing SCCM. Like I've worked at Amazon, Microsoft, T-Mobile.
Oh wow, all the biggies.
Yeah, you know, and when I worked at Real Networks, I don't know if I mentioned this or not. I may have told you off camera, but I had no idea at the time, but it was a great place to work. There were a lot of people in the Seattle grunge scene that actually worked there, and at the time I had no idea. I worked with Greg Gilmore, who was the drummer for Mother Love Bone. Greg was a systems engineer in the knock, the most humble guy, super humble. And I would always ask him whenever I had a Linux question. He was really bright with that. But he's a great drummer. I love Seattle. Seattle is great because there's so many, anything goes in Seattle. I mean, you can show your freak, and there's so many diverse people here. And I got to meet some really cool people. Our local music store, American Music in Fremont, I used to go there all the time. And I met a fellow by the name of Greg Gilmore, who's a brilliant drummer and makes custom snares. He was actually Matt Cameron's drum tech for Soundgarden. And he makes these custom chrome snares. And one day I was in there and I was shopping my cassette tape. This was before the internet really took off in '95. And I gave him my tape and I said, "Hey, Greg, I'm doing home recording on my 4-track, my little analog Tascam 244. And he gave me one of his chrome snares. He's all, "Try it out." And I said, I'm like, "You're going to give it to me to take home?" And he's like, "Absolutely." And I'm like, "Do you need anything as collateral?" And he's like, "No, I know who you are." So, I mean, it's just, Seattle is magic in that sense. It's very different than Los Angeles, where, you know, I grew up in Southern California, which is a little too stuffy for me. I mean, they're great people down there, but you know, the music scene is so hardcore business. Like it's cutthroat. You don't have people like a Greg Gilmore that's like, "Hey man, take my snare drum home," or you don't bump into people like Jack and Dino at a dive bar. And
I understand.
you know, so I love Seattle. It's been magical that way. It's very supportive of the arts and diversity. It's very diverse.
Sounds tempting, man. I think we should all pack our bags and maybe come to Seattle.
Yeah, you know,
Cool,
and
man.
the summers are beautiful too. We get long days.
Uh-huh. So almost like a very chilled out place, so to speak.
Very chilled out. Yeah. Yeah, they're very supportive of the arts. And
Yeah, I mean, there's music, there's art, and there are good people, and I'm sure the good food. So yeah, that's
excellent food.
uh-huh. So we're seeing Seattle through Steve's eyes right now. So and it's a very good picture. I mean, which is a little ironic because grunge music came out of Seattle, and Seattle seems to be a very cool place. I mean, there's a little oxymoron happening here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the other attraction for me about Seattle was there's kind of a plethora of amazing businesses that started here, which attracted me from everything from the software industry, but really innovative people here, which was part of the attraction of moving here. And it's not covered with concrete like Los Angeles.
It's got a soul. It's an organic city. It lives. It breathes with you.
It really does.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, and it's got really neat architecture, a lot of old homes and bridges that you don't see in a lot of big cities.
Nice, nice. So that's about Seattle and your point of view of Seattle. So tell us a bit about the grunge greats that you've actually brushed shoulders with. I mean, you've already told us about. Yeah, I mean, we know about this, man. We the people need to know. So you already told about Greg from Mother Love Bone. So what about the other grunge legends that you actually come across? Whatever.
Oh boy. Well, so I told you about Greg Gilmore, and I told you about Greg Kiplinger, who made the Kiplinger snares. So back in the 90s, I was dating this girl. God, I forget her name.
Oh.
But I met her at Club Mo. She had pink dyed hair. Everything was all pink and purple. And I met this girl. She thought that I looked like Prince.
Oh, with the mustache. Oh, I get it, with the mustache.
No, I didn't. Yeah, I think I did, but I had longer hair at the time. Anyways, she was in the record and band promotion industry, and she invited me to a record release party at Bad Animal Recording Studios, which was in downtown Seattle, owned by Ann and Nancy Wilson of Heart.
Oh my goodness!
You remember the band Heart? Yeah,
Ann
and Nancy are from Bellevue or Kirkland. I'm not sure. Anyways, so I went to this record release party at Bad Animal Recording Studios, and there's actually about three or four studio suites that you can record in at a time. It was a large facility. And so I was there at this record release party for a band, I think, called Shovel Jerk. They were kind of a grunge band at the time. And Greg Kiplinger, I ran into him. I'm like, what are you doing here? He came out of one of the suites. And he's like, I'm here recording with Soundgarden. Why don't you come in this? Well, yeah, why don't you come in the studio? So I got to go into this was down on the upside they were working on.
Oh, yeah, down on the upside. Yes.
But I didn't. Chris wasn't there, but Kim Thiel was there, Matt Cameron, and Ben Shepherd. I met Ben Shepherd. I met Ben. Yeah, I met Ben years ago when I was a waiter at Kachina on Lake Union. A friend of mine had a party at his house, and Ben was there. And then I also met him at a bar downtown in not Belltown, but south of Seattle. Nice guy. I knew Peter Cornell, Chris's older brother. Peter used to bartend at Duke's on Lake Union, and I worked upstairs at the restaurant. And I had a friend that used to play bass with Peter Cornell and his band called Inflatable Soul. And Peter's brilliant, just a another talent. The whole Cornell family, they've got a sister named Katie. She's musical.
Oh.
And she's performed multiple times at Daryl's Tavern. Like the video you see, my video that I made that's all red with the red background, that was all that was all shot with my cell phone, basically, at Daryl's Tavern. But a lot of people have played there. It's a dive bar, but we had like Ike Willis, who was Frank Zappa's guitar player, play there.
Sounds like a good place to be, man.
Yeah, and the clubs are rich with history. The old Central Tavern that I got to play at. I mean, everyone from, I think, Jimi Hendrix to Nirvana to Soundgarden played there. Yeah, so just to be able to walk into these clubs with the rich history. There's Robert Lang's recording studio. I've never been to Robert Lang's, but I have a friend that actually works there.
Wow.
So yeah, there's a lot of rich history here. Like if you're a music fiend, I mean, Seattle's the place, because even long before grunge, I mean, it had a history like in the 60s of being a big jazz hub, like one of the major ones. And I think, you know, like Ray Charles is from Washington State, Quincy Jones.
Yes.
And even Pete Townsend, who's one of my big influences and heroes. One of his famous recordings that he loves is a Wes Montgomery recording that was done here in Seattle, like in the 60s. So there's, you know, there's just history here that you're not going to find in.
Dude, you should totally, man, this is nuts. You're blowing my mind here. It's like, you should totally write a book, man. I
mean, I probably could with all the wacky experiences between here and Los Angeles.
You should, but here's an idea. Like maybe you could actually get down, do a graphic novel on the experiences that you had on grunge.
Oh, I see. Like at all the hot spots.
Yeah, I mean, like a graphic novel you could do, like instead of a book, like a, you know, like a comic book for adults, like a graphic novel. So that would be good.
That's an option. Yeah, that's a great idea. Wow.
So yeah. And I'm sure we are getting, anytime you come out with a book, I'm sure Calcutta Grunge Exchange is getting like autographed copies of the book.
Okay. I actually, you know, I have a book here right in front of me that a friend gave me that was signed by Chris Novoselic. I hope I'm saying Chris's name right. And I actually, I met Chris years ago in 1998. In Maui, Hawaii, when I was a computer systems engineer for a bank, and we were upgrading all the computers to Windows 95. So they flew me back to Maui. You know, I lived there for 5 years, but I got to go back there. And I remember I was in the Kahului airport, Hertz rental car line, and Chris Novoselic was there. He was wearing a his leather Jim Morrison hat. I met him. I doubt he remembers me, but he lives here. He still lives. He lives in Washington State. But a friend of mine gave me a book. Hold on one second. Let me grab it for you.
Yeah. Perfect.
I don't know if you can see this on camera.
Yeah. We can. Taking punk to the masses. Wow.
Yeah, and so here we go. This was signed by Chris.
Hey! So,
or at least my friend who gave me this told me it was. I mean, Chris may call bullshit on me if he sees this. I don't know.
Oh, by the way, that speaking of friends, today is the day that India celebrates Friendship Day. So happy Friendship Day to you, man. So from all of us at Calcutta Grunge Exchange.
Thank you. I got to show you another piece of memorabilia because, you know, I think all of us as musicians, deep down, we're all super hardcore fans of rock and roll, punk or grunge. I love all sorts of music.
Same here.
But I got to meet my hero, one of my heroes, Joe Strummer of The Clash, back in 2000. I think it was 2009 at the Showbox before he died. And I silk screened. There's a movie that was made in the 80s about The Clash called Rude Boy, and it's a great kind of pseudo documentary from the perspective of the roadie for the Clash. And in the movie, Joe Strummer wears a T-shirt that looks just like this. So I silk screened it, and I went to see Joe, and we got to go backstage and meet him, and he actually signed. This is kind of cheesy, but I don't know if you can see above the rifle. That's his signature right there.
Yeah, I do. On the white star, yes.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, it's so important to have, heroes, rock and roll heroes, so we can keep the legacy of these great people going.
Absolutely, man. And you can buy all that with money. No matter how much money you have in the world, you can buy that.
You can't buy that. Yeah. And the thing that concerns me these days, I hope I don't sound old, but anyone can get like a drum machine, and I love there's some great hip hop out there, but I miss the old days of DIY, do it yourself with the actual instruments.
I know.
And anything is possible if you believe in the dream of rock and roll, I think.
I mean,
not to sound
we still
cliche.
believe that, man. No, it doesn't. We still believe that. That's why you and I are conversing right now. We people like us, all of us, we still believe that, man. So
that's great.
The power of rock and roll. Yeah. So yeah, man. So okay. So I'll just bring out Abhishek and later on Sam, and I'll introduce you guys with the other members of Calcutta Grunge Exchange.
Okay.
So Abhishek, if you want to come on screen, it's all yours. Yeah. So
Hey, Steve.
Hey.
How you doing? Good to see you.
Yeah, I'm fine. And welcome to the Calcutta Grunge Exchange. And thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
So I've got a couple of questions. So you grew up at Seattle, right?
No.
I moved here in '95. I'm originally from Southern California, Fullerton, California.
Okay. So you were at that time, that time, the grunge revolution time, you were at that scene, Seattle.
Kind of like the tail end of it, '95. It was, end
of the grunge era, kind of.
Almost like end.
Yeah. But it was, I was in Hawaii doing it. When I was in Maui, I had a band and we were playing shows. And I remember someone showing me the Nirvana album for the first time. It was a tourist, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool, But I had no concept of grunge, and I think apparently it was kind of created by MTV and like the fashion industry.
Yeah.
That.
That's right. So anyway, my question is actually, which grunge guitarist actually influenced you to play guitar and sing like the grunge music?
Sing like Steve.
And sing like Steve. Yeah, sing like Steve. So. If you choose any grunge frontman who influenced you most, so whom will you choose?
Wow. Okay. Well, first of all, that's a trick question because I love a lot of the Seattle grunge bands. Probably my favorite was Soundgarden. I really was a big Soundgarden fan. But I'm a drummer and I play the guitar like a drummer. I kind of bash it rhythmically. I'm not a lead player, so I would have to say. Joe Strummer really influenced me, and Pete Townsend with
awesome.
Open power chords.
Yeah, windmill thing.
Yeah. I had a roommate that used to play years ago in a band with Pete Townsend's brother Simon Townsend. Had a band called On the Air. Funny story, but the whole thing about Joe Strummer was he got his name because he wasn't really a great guitar player, but he could play, basic rhythm, and he believed that he could play. I mean, just his conviction alone. I remember the biggest inspiration I had was I saw the Who on their farewell tour in 1982 at the Los Angeles Coliseum, and I was smack dab in front of the barricade. I waited like 6 hours. And it was a hot day, and the Clash came on. They opened and they were terrified because they played before 90,000 people. They had never played in front of such a crowd. And I just remember the intensity of Joe Strummer. And I told him that when I met him years later in Seattle. I was like, man, you inspired me so much that day in Los Angeles. I could see every bead of sweat dripping down your face and the intensity you played with. So in answering your question, I would have to say, you know, I have to pay ethos to Joe Strummer. I mean, he was brilliant. And
awesome.
He was a rudimentary player. He wasn't like the fastest player. In fact, my biggest influences, I have great respect for people who are very technical, but I am by no means a cock rocker who can play, you know, excuse my French. Oh, fuck, I shouldn't have said that. Oops. Oh, and I spell fuck with a PH, so I'm politically correct.
It's all good, bro. It's all good.
Anyway, so it's time to come out. Sam is actually right now not available, so I'm going to remove myself from the screen. So you guys start.
So
talking.
by the way, before Abhishek goes, I just want to inform Steve that Abhishek, we actually co-founded the page, and Sam and Arjoma. Arjoma is not here. Arjoma is like the illustrator that we have. So
Wow.
It's like 4 of us right now.
Wow.
So
You guys are
Small
doing
team,
great.
but
Now, you guys I'm surprised. I'm so fortunate that you have me on your show, but have you guys tried doing like any of the Facebook advertisement? Because I did with my songs, and I'm telling you, you guys would kick ass in the UK. The UK is really huge fans of my music. Like the majority of demographics are from Vancouver, British Columbia, the United Kingdom, and New York City, and Seattle, not so much, which is interesting. But there's always. Go ahead.
ironic.
so right now, what's happening at Seattle music scene?
Yeah, what's the current?
What's happening? Well, like I say, the predominant music, it's not really grunge, although there's great heavy metal and kind of grunge bands here. But you know, there's a great documentary on YouTube featuring Jack and Dino. It's called Rock is Dead, and it talks about kind of the climate of the Seattle music scene. And Jack eloquently says it's not really popular these days. The big demographic right now in music, in the industry, so to speak, is like EDM music and hip hop. There's a lot of hip hop artists in Seattle, but there's a lot of the traditional grunge bands. Like if you go to Daryl's Tavern on a Friday or Saturday night, there's great shows there, and I would go there every weekend. Unfortunately, everything has stopped due to this situation that we're all in. But
So anyway, thank you so much for being here. Sam is here, so Sam will ask you a couple of questions. So
sure. Pleasure meeting you. Thank you.
Thank you.
By the way, Abhishek fronts his own band, just like you. He sings and plays the guitar for his band called Road to Renaissance.
Nice.
This is Sam. Sam has been my eternal band member.
Hi, Sam.
He's a
Send
guitar
me your
player.
stuff. Send me your music. I'd love to hear it. Or post it after your show.
I will send my things to you, man. Because
Definitely.
First of all, I love the frame, like your frame, because you have a cool guitar like behind you, which is very cool, and I love Telecaster.
Thank you.
I love Telecaster, and the first thing is like thank you for being here. Like we are very excited about it. Like the Normalcy Bias is a very cool band. I listen to your songs. Like it's very cool. It's very cool.
I'm glad that we came across the Normalcy Bias. I'm glad.
Right.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. And if you like the logo behind me, I sell it in T-shirts too and hoodies.
That is cool,
we saw
man.
we saw
Right, right. Like I love a
Yeah,
T-shirt or a hoodie from your band. Like that is very cool, and I love the logo also.
The
It's like
logo is
very
kick-ass,
cool.
man. The logo
all
is
you,
very it's
yeah,
satire.
all you have to do is go to the normalcybias.com. I used to have a storefront. I took it down, but if you send me an email through the normalcybias.com, I can send you a T-shirt or a hoodie. We can work all that out.
Yeah, yeah, we'll talk
Nice,
about that.
nice,
So,
nice.
Sam, you had some, you had some interesting
Uh,
questions for Steve. So, yeah.
right, Steve. Like you are the guitar player and the vocalist of the band, right? So the
Correct.
first thing, what's your what guitar now you play? Like nowadays you are playing with guitar.
Yeah, well, there's an interesting story about this guitar behind me. This is my main guitar. It's a
Whoa.
Telecaster. It's a Telecaster, but it's not actually a Fender Telecaster. Um, it's a kit guitar that I bought uh, from Trading Musician in Seattle, which is a great store. But
Okay.
the cool thing about it, here's the rub to the story. We used to have a luthier in Seattle here by the name of Randy Parsons. Randy was an amazing luthier. He put my vintage Telecaster pickups in this. Randy is a luthier for like all the guys in Pearl Jam, Joe Perry of Aerosmith, and he's now in Los Angeles, but he's the most humble guy. He put the pickups in this for like, I don't know, it was like $26, but he's featured in the movie It May Get Loud with Jimmy Page, The Edge from U2, and Jack White. I don't know. Have you guys
Oh.
have you guys seen that movie?
Not,
No,
not yet, but we'll
not
definitely
yet,
check it
but
out.
will. Right.
It's on Netflix, but he actually makes his custom guitar that Jack White. It's a great documentary, yeah, with Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin, Jack White, and The Edge from U2. But so I play a Telecaster, and then I have an acoustic Ibanez. I want to get an
Okay.
SG really bad because they're really light. This thing
I
is
have a SG.
this thing
I
is a ton.
have a SG.
In fact, Sam and Abhishek both have SGs, Epiphone SGs. So, yeah.
Nice. It's so comfortable. They're so light. Yeah, this thing's like
Mine,
just a lug.
mine it is too heavy. So I don't play my SG nowadays. I shifted to a Parker guitar, which is very cool and very light. Like this is a guitar which I play nowadays.
Nice.
A Parker.
Very nice.
It's a vintage guitar like Telecaster, but it's very cool and very light guitar. And the next question for you, Steve. Like, what is your gear? Like, do you use any processor or like single unit pedals and all? Stormbox.
I'm sorry. Say the question again.
Like, what is your gear? Like, what is the processor or like the Stormbox you use for the distortion tone, clean tone?
He's
What
asking about
thing
your
you use?
equipment. He's asking about your
The processor and all.
I'm sorry. What?
Okay.
No, you,
Sam, I'm just quick. So basically, Steve, what Sam is asking you, what are the pedals or the processor or the equipment that you use?
Oh, okay, yeah.
The pedals, storm boxes, whatever.
Yeah, I have a Super Pickle. I think that's what it's called. It's like a green Super Pickle fuzz distortion box. And I also have an Ibanez tube screamer that I use. Yeah, when I was in the studio with Jack and Dino, he actually turned me on to the tube screamer. He's a brilliant engineer. So I used an Ibanez tube screamer, and I played, when I did the recording, I played through a Marshall half stack and also this twin reverb. I told you that I used a twin reverb. I think I told you that. At least Jack told me that Kurt Cobain used on the Bleach album. But
same.
Yeah, I don't use a lot. I'm not one for a lot of pedals because it makes me, when I play, I want to keep it as rudimentary.
right.
I don't like 10. Yeah, I mean, if you can't sound good with simplicity or banging even an acoustic on a street corner, like a busker doing a song, if you don't have all the effects in the world are not going to do it for you.
Yeah, totally. It has to come from the soul. right from
Yeah,
here.
absolutely. And I'll let you know also one little detail I just wanted to mention. I grew up in Fullerton, California,
Right.
and one of the cool things about that was Fender Guitars is in Fullerton. They were founded by Leo Fender and George Fullerton in Fullerton, California, where I grew up. And I had a friend whose dad that worked there, and I got to go there and watch them make guitars. So that's kind of cool. There's a lot of neat history about
So
Fender.
basically, you grew up in. You actually are associated with two amazing places. One would be the birthplace of Fender guitars, and the other one
Absolutely.
would be the birthplace of grunge. So,
Absolutely.
dude, I love your geographical conditions, man.
Right,
And a
right.
lot of people don't know this also, but also the Rickenbacker guitar.
Yeah.
I think it was Freddie Rickenbacker. His father was like I think a World War I or World War II fighter pilot. But I think he created the first pickup, and it was created in Santa Ana, California, which was in my neighborhood. That was adjacent to Fullerton. But yeah, I love history.
That's so cool, man. I have to go to I have to go to your place, man. That is very cool. Like you have all the access of the musician and the shows. Like not now nowadays that COVID-19 is fucked up
Yeah.
everything.
So,
Right.
yeah. Apart
So
from that, yeah.
like Seattle is very cool place, I guess.
Very
Right,
happening.
Tapo?
Yeah, totally, man. We should totally go to Daryl's Tavern, right? That's the place called Daryl's Tavern, right?
Daryl's Tavern. I'll send you the link on Facebook. It's world famous. It's a total dive bar. It looks like something out of a Martin Scorsese movie where he would.
Dude, we love places like that. We love places like that. When we go out drinking, we don't go to fancy places. We love that shit, man.
Yeah,
Good
right,
music,
right. Totally.
good
yeah,
music, good booze, good people. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Right, that is the thing.
Well, I hope to come to India someday, and
totally.
I love Indian food. In fact, my drummer Raul Matthews, he's from. I don't think Raul is from India, but his parents are, and he's been there. But he's a great musician as well.
If you come to India, meet with Cabo first because Cabo is a foodie, total foodie. He loves to eat.
No, we all are.
All
We
the
all are,
time,
man.
all the time.
We all are.
And Cabo is specialist. Cabo can eat like everything. So and the thing is that Cabo knows a lot of cool places in India. So Cabo
food.
can be like
Not India. Don't say India.
Right,
India is a huge place, man.
Right. For Mumbai or Kolkata.
Calcutta,
Cabo is
yeah,
the right guy for you. For the guides and all, Cabo will be your Kolkata guide. It's cool.
So yeah, man. If you ever come down, we'll all be there for you. Don't worry.
We'll go have some tandoori chicken and some samosas. Those are
Right. Tandoori and beers together. Good combination.
That shit
There you
is
go.
like off the hook, man. That shit is off the hook. Yeah. Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
And the next thing I want to know, do you like what kind of playing you love to play? Like, do you play a lot of solos or only do you like to play big solos and all in your song?
I don't, and I don't. I'm not a lead guitar player, and I have to admit the slide guitar on my track is not me. That's a friend of mine by the name of Kevin Stiles. I did all the rhythm guitar, but the guy is amazing. He's one of Seattle's best slide players. So I have to give credit to Kevin Stiles. He's an amazing guitar player.
Awesome.
Okay,
So he was a guest appearance.
So I don't know. I didn't answer your question. I think guitar solos are cool if it serves the song, but playing a drummer, I have years of experience playing drums, and I never liked playing with overindulgent lead guitar players unless it serves the song. And I'm a firm believer that
Absolutely.
everyone has to serve the song instead of grandstanding.
That is the right word. Serve the song. That is the right word.
Right.
Nobody's above the song. Like nobody's above the law. No musician is above the song.
Right,
Right.
right. That's the right word. Serve the song. That
Yeah,
is
like
a very,
So,
very good line.
I'm a huge fan of like Johnny Marr from the Smiths. I mean, and I love Radiohead too. Like the guitar work, I forget the guitar player for Radiohead, but Johnny Marr, who played with the Smiths, amazing texturing playing, and it's not like he's playing a million notes, but very, very tasteful stuff. I think that's probably my style that I
Right, right,
at
right.
least try to produce.
Right, right. So like you're into custom guitars, not like any branded guitars you like Ibanez or oh you told me like you want a ASG, right? So
Yeah,
that is your dream guitar.
looking forward to
I,
a SG.
I'm a huge Fender fan, but I also like my two favorite guitars is the Telecaster and the Gibson Les Paul. The Les Paul has got that,
Oh,
that Jimmy Page, the humbuckers,
right,
the
The
right.
sound.
59. The 59.
Yeah, there's just nothing like it. A lot of people. The thing that's cool about Jimmy Page, I recently learned he was a huge rockabilly fan. Huge fan of
Uh-huh.
Scotty Moore. He used to play for Elvis Presley, which
Okay.
is really really interesting. But yeah, I hope to be a better guitar player someday.
Oh, that is
I mean,
like
you're totally cool, man, as long as it serves the song.
Thank
right.
you.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's the word. That's the word. We will
We should
use this
actually,
word a lot. Right. Serve the song.
so
That is a very cool.
yeah, so we should actually, Sam, we should make this announcement right now for all the people watching it, and for all the, especially the musicians watching it. Play the music that serves the song. You
Right.
know,
That is the
Absolutely.
right word.
yeah. Nobody wants
So
to see like your chops. Nobody wants to know that you're the next Joe Satriani. No one cares. There's already a Joe Satriani.
right.
Don't
Everybody
try to
here
be a, yeah,
listen to the music only. That
yeah,
that will touch the people.
and
Like
be and like,
I am a
but
guitarist, so like I love to play big solos and all, blah blah blah. That is cool, but after a certain time, I feel someone will sing the song that will feel very very appealing to the people, my fans. Like singing is a very big part. Uh, right, like instrumental songs are very cool, but that is for I guess those people who understand the music very well, but singing is a thing you can touch with
yeah,
any people with your
lyrics,
singing,
lyrics,
lyrics and
vocals. Yeah,
all. So for me, music is all about that word, serve the song. Like you have to
Right.
we should totally
the
get that
song,
printed out, man, and like frame it on a wall or something. Serve the song.
serve the song, right?
We
Serve
should
the
actually
song.
write a song. We should actually write a song on serve the song, man.
Right, right,
There,
right.
there you
That
go.
will be a bit.
Great idea.
Right. Okay, Steve. So it is very, very, very nice to talk with you, and thank you for
Thank
being here. And like we are very happy to like talk to you, and we love Normalcy Bias. People, please listen to their songs. They are amazing, and
Normalcybias.com. Yeah.
thank you so
and
much, gentlemen. It's a pleasure to meet you guys.
thank you. And like Steve, grunge will never die.
No
Grunge will
way.
never die. So, okay, Steve. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye, Steve.
Thanks, guys. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye, Sam. Bye, Sam.
Bye.
Steve, you and I are still here.
Okay.
So yeah. So basically, that was Sam's episode. So what we do is, I'll tell you. So what we do is, usually I conduct the interactive session, and Abhishek and Sam come in between and have their own questions or whatever. They also want to interact. I wish we
Absolutely.
could actually, yeah, I wish actually we could introduce you with the youngest member of the gang. He's a 23-year-old kid. He's amazing with his illustrations, and he's a
Wow.
huge punk rock fan. But his cam is not working. So what I will do is,
Wow.
yeah. So he's a huge punk rock fan, and he's the only punk rock fan in his college. So
Cool.
when I approached him, so he was like, "Dude, I'm all in, man." So we are like, I'm 34. Sam turned 30. So did Abhishek. And this kid, Arjuma, I'll send you the link to his art. So he's 23 or 24 or something.
Wow.
23 or 20, yeah, he's
Please,
insane.
please
Yeah.
do.
So maybe I don't know. Maybe in the long run, if you guys want to like collaborate for an album art or some shit, I don't know, man. Maybe you guys can we're here for you, man. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Perfect. I love it. Thank you so
So,
much.
yeah. Pleasure, man. Please, it's our pleasure, man.
Are we
So, yeah,
still
man,
are we still live right now?
we're still live. Yeah, yeah. So
Okay,
just
perfect.
well, maybe just do it for another 5 minutes and complete an
No,
hour.
I'm having a good time here.
Awesome. Thanks. Good to know. Good to know. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls who are actually watching this, it's what's the time there, Steve? Right now, what's the time?
Right now it's 8:30 in the morning.
So okay, so 8:30 in the morning, and Steve has been up since 6 a.m. 6:30. So that's dedication for you.
Hell yes.
And I think Steve deserves a round of applause from all of us. So
Oh, yes,
here's
you
me
bet.
on behalf of Calcutta Grunge Exchange. So, and also Steve has been standing up for the last 2 hours, 1.5 hours, and yeah. So I really
I'm actually a mannequin, and I have a stick up my ass that's holding me up. I'm an
damn.
I'm an animatronic robot with a
Okay, so this is Arjoma Bondopadhyay. I'm here, guys. It's great to see you here, Steve. So that's him, Arjoma. That's the DP that he has created himself. So we'll connect you guys later.
okay.
So yeah, man. I mean, okay. Maybe like I could. We're almost at the end of this interactive session, and I'm so glad that you're having a good time. And so you are a man of multiple talents. So you're an engineer slash drummer slash theater person slash actor slash vocalist slash guitarist, and the list goes on, man. Okay, tell me the secret. Do you clone yourself secretly? Have you cloned yourself? There are Campanellas all around, or is it one?
No, I guess I'm a master of all trade. No, I forget the saying.
Ah,
I can do a lot of things, but I don't know if I'm a master of anything yet.
so let's put it this way: master of all trades and
Right.
grunge of all.
There you
So
go.
yeah, yeah,
There you go.
dude, we can also work with catchphrases. Okay, you're not the only one. So yeah, man, good stuff. And okay, so maybe like this is an important thing. So we got to know about the Seattle scene. We got to know about Normalcy Bias, and we got to know about you as a person, and we also got to know about the gear that you use. Awesome. Okay, so tell me a bit about. It's a very intriguing thing that I wanted to ask you personally. Even Sam pointed out that that logo, rather the poster art that you have, shows
Right.
people from the 50s in their bathing suits running away. Not running away, they're
Right.
smiling, and they're
Right.
absolutely oblivious to the fact that there's like this nuclear explosion happening behind. So
Right.
that shit is like dark, and I love it. You
Right.
know, it's like a. Is it? Tell me, are you fond of satires? Are you a satirical person? Because it seems like that.
Am I
Satires
a
and like
am
a
I a what?
satire as in are you
Did
into
you
satires as in yeah, satires, satire?
sitar like Robbie Shaker? Did you say
No, no, not no,
sitar?
no, 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 not no, not sitar. As in
Sorry.
the literary term. Okay, satires, satires, like like the literary term.
I don't know that word.
Okay.
I'm
Oh,
not
so
sure.
basically, what I was trying to say is like there's a amazing contradiction happening in the poster. So
Right.
you've seen people from the 50s in their bathing suit running, not
Right.
running away, they're talking casually and they're happy, and there's
Right.
this nuclear explosion happening, right?
Right.
So that's like a beauty and dread together. So what's up with that? Like,
Right. Sure. Let me explain. I can explain that. So when I created it, the normalcy bias, it's actually a psychological term.
okay, just
Kind of like cognitive. I don't know if it's not cognitive dissonance, but it has to do with and there's something like impeding doom, something so bad going on, people go into a denial mode. And they create
oh,
they create what's called a normalcy bias. So I created it because I see a lot of that in society where we're normalizing I don't want to get on a soapbox here, but
Yeah.
you know, the normalizing of GMO poisoning
Disaster.
food,
Yeah.
putting fluoride in the water, doing all sorts of crazy stuff that are harmful to the environment, and it's normalized, you know. So that was kind of the inspiration, and I was like,
Interesting.
I wanted the concept of it to be focused on that instead of me, or like, hi, I'm a rock star, because I don't think I am. And I really love the imagery that like Pink Floyd has used. You know, Pink Floyd is an amazing influence too on me. The work of Roger Waters and David Gilmour, just simply because the emphasis wasn't really on the band members, but it was kind of this broad stroke, an image or a concept. And I always wanted the Normalcy Bias to be kind of a conceptual project, because there's also a positive side. You know, there's a normalcy bias. Are we going to create a negative normalcy bias or a positive normalcy bias moving forward? So you can flip the script and take that narrative in multiple directions, which was kind of my attraction when I created, you know, kind of the concept and the logo for the band.
Very, very cool, man. Very cool and very hard hitting, actually.
Thank you. I wanted something to be, I wanted it to be timeless. So.
And that is never going away. Exactly. The normalization of harmful things is never going away.
Right.
You know?
So hopefully we flip the switch and we create a better normalcy bias, you know, for our families and our children moving forward, instead of
the future.
And I feel promising. I think there's a sense of hope. You know, being an engineer, there's massive change happening right now. And I think what has plagued society, we've had centralization of power. And what you're seeing right now is a decoupling technology, kind of like what we're having right now with this podcast. It's decentralizing power from the big media companies. I mean, granted we have Google and Facebook, but there's a silver lining that's happening, I think, with a lot of these decentralizing technologies. And I think moving forward on a positive note, if we can brace the concept of decentralizing power to billions of people instead of a handful of corporations and people, we'll have a diverse ecosystem. So I think there's some promising things in regards to that model.
Absolutely. Sounds good, man.
Blah, blah, blah.
That's really deep. That's really, really deep. And dude, I'm digging it, man. And so, okay. So we're almost at the end of the this interactive, amazing interactive session. This was informative. This was in depth, and this was deep. So what else could we have asked for, man? So it's been really good. Abhishek, Sam, if you guys want to come on screen and maybe say bye to Steve, we could do that together. And to all the people watching this, and to all the people who will be watching this later, check out the Normalcy. That's Normalcy Bias, BIAS. Sorry, the Normalcy Bias. That's Steve Campanella, the frontman of the band, and we had this amazing discussion about his music, his lifestyle, the Seattle scene, and I sincerely hope that we all do something together to serve the song. So yeah, I mean,
thank you so much for having me, guys.
Pleasure. This is our pleasure, and it's been a very, very cool interactive session where we actually got to. This was interactive and informative, and we had a lot of insights. So a lot of eyes, interactive, informative insights. So yeah.
Sure, very good.
So Abhishek, Sam, you guys want to come on screen and maybe like, yeah, here we are. The other gentlemen are here. So I'm sure we all enjoyed it as much as I did. So
thank you so much for being here, Steve.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah. Hey man, it's all good. And I sincerely hope that you know, we'll do whatever little we can for, you know, for everyone who comes to us. You guys are becoming friends and family, man. So
absolutely, yeah. And I will tell people to tune in for the Calcutta Grunge Exchange.
That would mean the world to us, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I love you guys.
It's a
We
likewise
love you too,
feeling.
man. Likewise.
and
Anyway.
and we should. I sincerely hope that Normalcy Bias gets all the recognition that it deserves, because it's a kick-ass band with a lot of in-depth insights. So guys, check them out.
Thank you very
And
much.
so I guess Sam's not coming, Abhishek. So I think his Cam is having an issue. So we'll say goodbye for the time being from the live session.
Okay.
So Steve, you can stay back. We'll just cut off the live feed. So here's me, Kambo, that's Abhishek, Arjoma, and Sam. We are the Calcutta Grunge Exchange. And thank you so much, Steve. And we'll do it again soon. And keep playing, man. Keep strumming and keep drumming.
You guys too. Keep rocking. Thank you so
Thanks,
much for
man.
having me.
Pleasure. You can stay back, bro. We're just cutting the live feed.
All right.